Dragos and Martin have both said about pride with modesty. You know, we have to take it step by step to facilitate, to cooperate, and as Dragos was saying, abstain from adding to the pile. So that's very helpful. And now I'd like to pass the floor, please, to Virginia Ghiara. Virginia, you're speaking for Fujitsu. And let me just say, because maybe you're too modest to say so, in the AI4People history, Fujitsu was the company that got it quickest and said, okay, this matters. And as a result, began by adopting an ethical AI vision at board level. And I keep saying to other companies and organizations, it has to start from the top, and it has to be a positive ethical vision of AI people, and everything else will trickle down. And I think to Luca's point, that's why you need to continue to integrate ethics by design in compliance. The compliance to begin with is complicated, and if it's not illuminated by a sense of ethical purpose, the lawyers can disagree about the interpretation of one or other beautiful paragraph, and you're stuck. Virginia, you have the floor.
Many thanks, Robert, and many thanks for inviting me. First of all, I would like to convey the apologies from the CEO of Fujitsu Research of Europe, who couldn't join us today. As already discussed, ensuring the effective and ethical implementation of the AI Act is the next challenge, and will require dialogue between all the different stakeholders and communities involved in developing and using actually AI systems. And this means not only from the policy side, but of course also from industry, academia, and civil society. And this is, of course, at the heart of what Fujitsu is doing with AI4People, but it's also, I think, the very philosophy of AI4People since the beginning, just creating a scientific committee that can start a dialogue, which is really interdisciplinary. And I believe that this approach, sharing ideas, sharing best practice, will be key to ensure that we can identify what might be the gaps of the implementation of the AI Act, and making sure that we can establish a very strong dialogue with policymakers in the future. In terms of the work that we have done also with AI4People Institute, I think, I hope that the new report, which is entitled Towards an Ethics by Design Approach for AI, can contribute to the next challenge, which is in fact the implementation, the ethical implementation of the AI Act. The report will be presented more in details in the second part of this event. But just to introduce it quickly, it proposes a very actionable blueprint that can be used by different types of organizations, not only to comply with the law, but also really to act in accordance with the ethical and moral principles, as well as the values underpinning the European Union. It's a step-by-step approach, which means that it's very practical. It aims to support implementation of an ethical process and of an ethics by design process. And it provides also very practical guidance. So we know that this has been, for us, a very important milestone to move, as also Luciano was mentioning, from principles to regulation to now to practice to implementation. But we know also that it's the very first step. We will need to work more to make sure that the dialogue will continue, and then we will provide actually feedback and considerations that can be supportive for the next steps of the AI Act. And we believe that this report has paved the way for the work plan that we have for the AI4People Institute for 2024 and 2025. The idea is always the same, is that compliance does not automatically deliver ethics. So we want to make sure that when we provide some practical recommendations, both the compliance part and the ethical point of view will be taken into account. So to do so, the overall, let's say, ambition of the work plan is to produce outputs that can be used to support this ethics by design approach for different types of companies. We will first focus on the AI Act, and we will develop an AI Act compliance checklist. This is only the first step. It's not only to support organizations that will need to be compliant with the AI Act, but it's also to establish a dialogue with different types of organizations to identify questions that might need to be addressed to clarify regulatory requirements. After that first step, we will continue with a set of different projects that will focus more on implementing an ethics by design approach in different verticals. And we will focus on some of the key sectors that we know will need to be compliant with the AI Act, but might have emerging ethical issues in the future as, of course, AI also develops. We will focus on banking and finance, insurance, media and technology, and health. We will engage with stakeholders in those vertical sectors to ensure that the final outputs are very practical, are clear, and also address their specific needs. And the aim of this project is also to create a bridge between findings that we will share in those reports and the compliance considerations that we will have at the end of the first project. So as part of this work, we will try to identify also where the AI Act checklist will be effective or not in clarifying the regulatory requirements. And we hope that this will also establish a new dialogue and new considerations also from the policy side with policymakers. So, of course, to complete this work, we will adopt a very interdisciplinary approach. And we invite everyone in the audience interested in learning more or also in giving feedback to contact us for more information. We're very excited about it. We know that there will be lots of challenges, but as also mentioned by Robert, we as Fujitsu been in the dialogue with different stakeholders since the very beginning when we considered the first ethical issues that emerged with the development of AI. So we really hope that as a part of the industry sector, we will be able to provide our considerations and our feedback to support the implementation of the AI Act. Thank you very much.